Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ria, and if you've been here before, you must know that I've been on a gap year, and as my gap year is coming to an end, I want to talk about how it has helped in my personal growth, as well as why, if you're considering taking one, you definitely should go ahead with it. A lot of judgment that comes when you tell people that you're on a gap year, I think that's completely bullshit, and the truth couldn't be further from it. Also, I always forget to film introductions, so I'm just gonna say here that please subscribe to my channel, and if this video helps, please also hit the like. And my socials are at the rate Ria Sharkar on Instagram and at the rate Ria Sharkar on LinkedIn, so make sure you do check those out as well. Now let's move on to what this video is about, and this video is quite personal, and I hope you will be sensitive to that and not comment without knowing the full picture. Without further ado, let's get on to it. The first and probably the most important thing I learned was how to prioritize major goals. All throughout high school, I've had multiple inclinations. I've liked teaching, I've liked STEM, I've liked research. There is just so much that I had going on throughout my high school that I wasn't exactly sure of what I actually want to do, like what my long-term goals are. What is it that I want to achieve in my career? What is the job that I want to work towards? Is it a job? Is it entrepreneurship? Yeah, that was something I struggled with up until senior year of high school. However, my gap year helped me get some clarity on that, and that completely has to do with the fact that you have no obligations whatsoever. So while I was studying STEM, I liked it, but then I also had to study it to score well in my exams, right? Which is kind of why I was studying. I love math, I love physics, but I feel like during my gap year, I started realizing that STEM might have been something I've been doing because of the fact that I have done so much of it, and I always had to keep going, and there was just no gap. I realized that I didn't enjoy it as much as the other things that I did during my gap year. I learned that I love teaching, and while this was something I'd always thought, I didn't learn how much I loved doing it until I taught for 2 months straight for 4 hours a day of basically a part-time job. Until I did that, I didn't realize how much I wanted to go in that direction with my life. So that was something that I could definitely pen down. Other than that, I also love finding myself in managemental roles. My parents started a preschool, and I was pretty much in charge of their summer camp situation, and I loved it. I mean, it was great. And while I had been messing around with leadership and management in high school, I never really got to pay that much attention to it because of the other stuff that I was obligated to do, which was study, exams, stuff like that. When I had no pressure, I could basically choose whatever it is that I like doing, and did that. I'm not saying that you'll wake up one day with the realization that, oh my god, this is the degree you want to pursue, this is the career you want to pursue, but you can definitely figure out what is the stuff you can naturally incline towards, stuff that you actually enjoy doing, right? The gap year will help you understand yourself and your goals better. The second thing is it will help you discipline yourself. And while my mom will totally disagree and say that I'm the most undisciplined child to ever walk this planet, I beg to differ, because I think being forced to be disciplined and being disciplined yourself are two very different things. And while I'm very far away from being completely disciplined myself, I feel like I have made strides towards taking control of my own productivity, and that has been pretty interesting. While I do spend most of my day just binge watching YouTube and Prime Video, I also get to decide what I want to do and when I want to be productive. So it's kind of like I pick my own battles as well as like the time when I fight them, if that makes sense. So one major example for me is YouTube. No one forces me to do YouTube, obviously. My family is really encouraging, but that doesn't mean they would make me sit and put on the camera. And I know my consistency is not commendable at all. Sometimes I don't post for a month, and sometimes I post 3 videos in a week, which is not great for the algorithm. I get it. I just feel like when you're in high school, you're always forced to be productive. That kind of hampers your relationship with productivity itself, where you start to villainize it. So while you do anything productive, you do feel happy. If you're not doing anything productive, you feel guilty. And that's, I think, a very flawed mindset to have towards productivity itself. I'm in no way saying I don't get guilty. My guilt is through the roof. But yes, I've definitely learned to take control of my own schedule and push myself to get the work that I have to get done. And that is also me filming this video. So please hit the like. What I'm trying to get across with this example is that no one forces me to do YouTube, yet I spend hours filming, editing, uploading, and then crying about the view count. And that sort of control over your schedule, it really makes you understand the necessity to be disciplined. And yeah, that's something you wouldn't ever learn when you're being forced to be disciplined.
Also, like, this video is turning out to be awfully long. I did not mean for that to happen, but it's just, I have a paper and I really want to go through all of it because I feel like it's some quality content, guys. Okay.
And now let's move on to the third part, which is you get to work on skills and not curriculums. This line of separation between skills and curriculum, I feel like, gets blurred really often, especially if you're in high school or even in college, I would say. Throughout my gap year, I've picked up things that I wouldn't have picked up in a classroom whatsoever. You know, real world skills that will help me thrive in the future. And while that sounds really cringe and you'll be like, oh my god, Ria, but you can pick up skills while you're in high school. I feel like in high school, you kind of mix the idea of skills with like your everyday stuff. To give you an example, when you learned how to factorize, you might have thought of it as a skill. But what I mean by skill, for example, is I earned money and then I learned how to manage it. I got to decide where I want to allocate money. Do I want to invest money? What kind of investments do I want to make? What kind of splurges do I have to make? That is the kind of stuff that will help you navigate your life moving forward, right? So yeah, I learned a lot of banking.
Also, this line right here, that's like sunlight hitting me right there. I feel like that's too much.
So I was saying, my mom started her own startup, and while I've not been of much use because I myself am learning as the process goes, I have learned a lot of banking and basically how setting up an actual startup is like, and that has been great. I've also started learning a new language which is Italian, and
yeah, I have like, let me show you my Duolingo.
So I do have a 41-day streak, meaning I must enjoy learning, no? Yeah, those are the skills that I've learned. This is the last point I want to talk about, and it might get philosophical in here. I don't mean it to. I'm not philosophical. I'm not even that interesting. I definitely see a shift in perspective. That sounds so cliche. Yeah, I'd definitely not make a good philosopher. What I mean by that is just how not caught up I feel. As a high school senior dealing with college apps, you tend to make your entire life and your personality about it. And while that turns out fine for some people, I've seen major growth in my mindset the moment I learned to let go of evaluating my value with college. Because as an international student, there is a lot that goes in, which is external to my application. The economy of the country I'm applying to. Simply me being able to afford the education or not. Literally, there are just so many factors that make college applications abroad so ambiguous. Even if you have a 1500 plus SAT, you have great achievements, great honors, it's frankly never 100% sure shot guarantee that you're gonna get into an Ivy League or anything of that sort. And that can get really bothering and frustrating, especially if you've always liked academic validation. And I feel like the biggest difference I see in myself is 1 year ago, I wouldn't accept that your long-term goals can be achieved in one way or the other. I might go to an Ivy League and get a head start and reach my long-term goal in 6 years, or I might go to a top 20 school and work harder in school and then get to it in 10 years. So yeah, without like giving you a lecture about this, because I personally didn't like when people told me this when I was in my Sigma academic weapon era. But right now that is not my focus. Right now my focus is developing as an individual, developing each pillar that make me me. So yeah, well, I could like go on and talk about this point forever. I don't think it'll make a difference, but if you were to take a gap year, I'm sure you could come to a similar realization. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that your exams and your college is not important. Education is one of the most important things in one's life. Then again, the education is a part of life and life doesn't fully depend on it. Those were pretty much the most important points I had in mind. Whether you're thinking of taking a gap year or whether you are in a circumstance where you have to take a gap year and are not fully sold on it, I hope this video helped. It was, as you could tell, a lot of personal anecdotes, and a lot of you have been asking what I'm going to be doing after my gap year, which is now coming to an end. I wanted to include it in this video, but I already have like footage worth 40 minutes and I don't think I have the editing capacity to cut that down, so that's going to be the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned.